It's time for Media Watch now, and James Creedon is with us in the studio. Hi there, James.
Hello.
And you have been looking at coverage of the Bob Woodward book,
yes.
Of course, which is already a bestseller.
Yeah.
This is the latest account of the chaos in the White House and the way Donald Trump speaks to his staff and his closest aides, which is pretty shocking.
Yeah, lots of.
He denies it all, I have to say.
That's right. Lots of unflattering headlines for sure, and. Just a very quick sum up, I suppose, of what we've probably been hearing the summaries already, but the headlines, at least, and how it's been covered in the press. The New York Times, 5 takeaways from Bob Woodward's book, and I suppose. Takeaway number 1, the Russia investigation is a constant source of anxiety for Trump and his lawyers. Anger, paranoia, unrelenting at times, that is paralysing the West Wing for entire days. So a lot of information about that coming out. Also, Mr. Trump's advisors are repeatedly stunned by the president's lack of interest in and knowledge of major issues, which has led to, I think he was called a moron by Tillerson. That had already kind of leaked out. Indeed.
Oh no, moron, you're right. Yeah.
Moron by Tillerson. There were various different people calling him various different things. And then you had Defence Secretary Jim Mattis, who said he understood topics around defence issues like a 5th or 6th grader. And then there was this particularly headlineable incident.
Yeah, this is the most worrying.
Where an aide stole his papers to protect the country. Now, this was Gary Cohn, the former chief economic advisor to Dr. Trump, who stole a letter from Trump's desk that he planned to sign that would have undone a trade deal with South Korea, and apparently Trump never even noticed it was gone. So that's obviously all very unflattering.
There were worries he was going to destroy the world trade system.
That's it. So then you have headlines like this: nervous breakdown of Trump's presidency, and details that would back that up are John F. Kelly, the chief of staff, who was rumoured to be close to resigning, called Trump an idiot and said the White House staff was operating in crazy town. Now, we'll get to the denials in a sec.
Doesn't sound like a very calm and...
It certainly doesn't.
Serene place to work, does it?
Not at all. And we have an 11-minute transcript as well on the Washington Post website. Not transcript, but audio call.
Right, because a lot of it is on tape. A lot of these interviews are on tape.
That's right. And Trump himself is claiming that he wasn't contacted directly, despite the fact that it appears Bob Woodward had lunch with Kellyanne Conway, and there were various other senators who he contacted in a bid to get access to Trump, to put all of this to him directly. And Trump says, "You didn't call my secretary. You didn't contact me." But Bob Woodward, in this long interview, says, "Well, I had lunch with Kellyanne Conway. Surely that's kind of higher access than your secretary's. Doesn't she have direct access to you?" And so you can read that whole very sort of bizarre dialogue, as they say in French, a dialogue des sourds, or a dialogue of between deaf people, because it's just Trump saying, "You didn't contact me, I didn't hear anything about this," and Bob Woodward saying, "How is it possible? I spoke to about 6 to 8 people and had lunches talking about this," and spoke to people who said they did talk to you about it. Are you saying that they didn't talk to you about it? So it's basically Donald Trump saying, he probably did not want to respond to Bob Woodward's questions, and is now just claiming that he never even heard about it.
And as expected, he's taken to Twitter today.
That's right.
Donald Trump and Bob Woodward. We'll get to him in a second. Trump, as you said, denying everything. There was kind of a little bit of self-awareness when he said, "I have to speak to people this way, otherwise I'd never get anything done." Did
there
you see
go.
That one?
That's it. I did. There was another of that, but he's been tweeting.
The Rudy Giuliani anecdote is the one that really...
Yeah, incredible. I mean, there's just so many in it, but he's been tweeting sort of various, General Mattis and others who've been saying the book, who've been denying basically the quotes about them in the book, which has put Bob Woodward, I suppose, on the back foot. And he's been tweeting various other people who are saying, for the following, for example, this is... Ari Fleischer, former Republican White House press secretary, and he shared his tweet, which basically said, "I've been on the receiving end of a Bob Woodward book. There are quotes in it I didn't like, but never did I think Woodward made it up." In other words, if there's one thing you can't accuse Woodward of, it's kind of unprofessional journalism. And indeed, there's been some old tweets
it's been around for a while.
That's right, by Donald Trump. For example, and these are all verified, only the Obama White House, and this was about negative coverage of them back in the day, can get away with attacking Bob Woodward. So he was very elogious about Woodward when it suited him, and now he's a liar. So there you go. And that has led people to say there is a tweet for everything now, and it has reached absurd levels. You can basically find tweets. Anyway, regarding Donald Trump, this is an interesting article to close that with on CNN's website. The real reason Bob Woodward's book is so damaging, what they basically say is, yes, lots of salacious headlines, calling Jeff Sessions mentally retarded and stuff like that. Awful language.
Saying Rudy Giuliani was like a baby in a diaper.
Right. Awful things to say,
Former
great
mayor of New
headlines,
York.
right? But actually what's truly worrisome here
Yes.
is that the portrait Woodward paints of a chaotic, dysfunctional, ill-prepared White House is so familiar because it's pretty much what we've been hearing from a lot of other books that have come out about
Fear and
the White House.
Fury.
And you might individually pick apart some of these books and say, was there an agenda on the part of some? For example, Michael Wolff, Fire and Fury, was he misled by a few sources? But when you keep kind of getting the same account, it's hard to sort of
No smoke without fire.
dismiss it, exactly.
Right.
To dismiss that there's some chaos.
Let's end in Russia, where people are being treated to a new reality TV show featuring Vladimir Putin as Vladimir Putin.
As Vladimir Putin himself, indeed. He's starring in his own reality TV show, and it claims that he's so imposing that even bears are afraid of him. This is all in a bit, I suppose, to up his poll ratings, which are going down because of pension reforms and retirement reform and whatnot. Putin loves children and people in general. That's always a crowd pleaser, I suppose, isn't it?
Yes.
And claiming that he's so imposing, bears are afraid of him. That was his press secretary saying that. Bears and lots of other details coming out about it. So that aired
We got
on.
him wrestling bears or anything?
Well, there's also
Jacket on this time, I think.
It's worked in the past, so I suppose they're just trying to get back to it. And it has been compared to Keeping Up with the Kardashians or Keeping Up with the Kremlin. And it's kind of weird because
Keeping Up with the Kremlin is a good name.
it's not bad. But when I saw that, it reminded me of another headline I saw today, because this is kind of coming full circle. Kim Kardashian West is back at the White House today to talk about criminal justice reform, because she was previously there talking about if I'm
She got a
prisoner
prisoner
sentences.
pardon.
That's it.
She did manage to get a
So
prisoner pardon.
how weird are the times we're living in when you have a US president who was a reality TV show star and is now having books written about him that are very negative, and you've Vladimir Putin, who is a spy, who is now a reality TV show star, and it's been compared to it's been compared to the Kardashians, and she's being used by Trump in various sort of as a PR sort of figure. It's all
Goodness
very
me.
weird.
It's all very surreal these days, isn't it? It's difficult to keep track of. All right, James, we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. As always, James
Thanks, Laura.
Creedon.